Hi guys, I'm Ryan Euston and welcome to my fly tying channel. If you haven't already done so, consider hitting the subscribe button down below. That'll keep you up to date with everything as I upload it. My channel already contains hundreds of videos covering a wide range of both patterns and techniques, from the basic to the more advanced. So without delay, let's get on with the show. Hi guys, so it's that sort of time of year again here between Halloween and Christmas when your shops fill up with decorations, and these can be used to tie pike flies. So what I'm going to tie here is a fly called the tinsel fish, and basically it's almost exclusively built out of stuff that you can find in normal shops. So we're going to use here a size 6.0 Sakuma manta as our hook, and we're going to use our big fly thread. The only really things that are fly tying in this, or fly tying materials in this as such, are bucktail and the eyes, so the 3D eyes that we're going to put onto it, but everything else you can find in craft stores. So put the tying thread on. What I like to do is to put a little bit of super glue on that, just to bind that in, wrap back up it while that super glue is wet, and that will stop our body from spinning, secure it. So first, the core of the fly. I'm going to use this stuff here. So this is essentially crystal here, but it's come out of craft store. I think it was about £1 for a big packet of silver. I'm just going to take a bunch of maybe 8 to 10 fibres. I'm going to double it over on itself. As you can see, I didn't match up the tip ends, so we have this sort of little bit of a taper to it already. And then at this end, if you cut it flat, you'll get a block end, but if you cut somewhere partly down it, you again will end up with an accentuated taper. So I'm going to set that on, and by my vice I know that if I let it come back to here, it's 6 inches, so this is going to be like a 6 to 7 inch fly. So a few binds across, it's not exactly the middle, I'd say 2/3 of the way along, so that then when you fold this back you get more of our taper formed. And I'm going to put a couple of turns across that just to secure it in place, and glue. So next we're going to take our white bucktail. We take a bunch out of that. Turn it around so that the butt ends point backwards, and just allow that to envelop around the hook. Put a loose lap around it. Just shimmy it to make sure that it's spread all the way around, and then as we pull that, it'll splay. So next what we want to do is just get super glue. Get a little run of super glue just around that sort of collar that you have tied in on, and then a big straw and fold it back on itself. Pull your tying thread through to the front and create like a little thread dam, and that'll give us a bit of a skirt just to support the fly. So next we're going to use lametta. So you can find this now that it's Christmas time coming up, so these sort of hanks that, I don't know what you do, you must hang them up on doors or something, but this is a wavy one. So a tip when you're looking for this stuff is to take one strand of it and stretch it. So if you get a little bit of stretch out of it, See, this one is actually stretching as I pull it. These ones are far more durable. Some of the ones you get, you pull it and it just immediately snaps, but if you can get that little bit of stretch in it, it's more suitable, more durable. So we take a bunch off the side here, maybe a dozen or so fibres, and rip that off. So this is about 14 inches long, I'd say. So I take it across its middle and let it hang over. You can see the two ends here. I'm not going to match them up because I don't want it block ended. So this bunch as it hangs down, I'm going to stop it maybe an inch shy of that one and then transfer hands. So I'm holding, so you can see we have a little bit of taper here. Then this end, as we did with the other, if I cut it straight you'll get a block, but if I cut it off the side of the bend that it has created, then again we'll get a tapered bunch here too. So pick one end of it, whichever end seems more tapered, and set it up so that it comes to within about an inch or so of the end of the tail. Put in a loose couple of laps and then tighten that down. And wrap it on, make a sort of a collar wrapping it on. So we want this now, we're going to fold this one back, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take super glue here and I'm going to super glue a couple of inches of my thread, and I'm just going to wrap over that binding in the middle of the bunch as such. The reason for that is that I don't want to get a lot of super glue into this as it folds back, because I think it'll make it a little bit more brittle. But I do want to super glue the tie-ins of it in the center there, because I want to protect it from the pike's teeth. So I'll fold all this back. Take a big straw and sort of just fold it back on itself, push it back, and get a little bit of a dam in front of it. So next on this fly we're going to use a little bit of Kanekalon. So this is a wig. So this was like a grey wig. So I have a length there maybe 6 inches, and then I've just pulled it past itself like this here, threw it back to break up the ends so it's not block ended. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to place it in front of the tying that I've done so far, allow it to splay the whole way around, and then I'm going to put in a loose lap, 2 of them, and then allow this to sort of break up. Now I'm going to super glue this tie-in collar, allow the super glue just to wick into the 2 sides, the actual material itself, and then we'll take this straw and I'm just going to push it over it, pull all that back, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch the straw here. Now what that'll do, it'll give me a nice flat profile, but it'll raise the height of the top and bottom. Take my tie-in thread to the front. Now, so as you can already see, we have like a silver baitfish. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a little bit of an accent of flash sort of fins on the side of it, and what I'm going to use here is, this is tinsel, so like tinsel that you'd put on your Christmas tree. So this was a nice pearl sort of one. I've taken the wire center out of it, and if you look at it, the center of it has this sort of cuts which look like a fin. So I'm going to take 2 bits of it, I'm going to tie them in pointing forward, so I'm just catching the very back of it here. I'm going to put a lap around, and you can see it wants to fold back on itself. I'll flip that back and a couple of wraps in front, and that'll just give me that nice sort of real pearl opal flash in the side of it. Glue or tie in. So to finish the head tying, what I'm going to use is a bit of like a mousy grey craft fur. Again, this came out of a store, normal store, and it was a pillow. Now I've always found that the best quality craft fur comes out of these sort of rugs and pillows and stuff anyway, so they'll be calling it like luxury pile or something along the lines of that. So I'll take a bunch there, I'll push out the very shortest bits of it, and I'm going to just put that on. You can see I maybe have a centimetre left to my eye here. I don't want to get tight up to the eye, so I'm just allowing my thread to sort of roll that bunch right around the shank, and then I'm going to wrap into these tag ends, and I'm going to put on a couple of half hitches and cut that off. So that is the tying per se done. So what I'll do is just brush that so that it separates all the fibres, and they're now then evenly distributed the whole way around the shank. I then allow the super glue to soak in all around it. Take my straw, and as you can see I have the straw sort of folded a little bit flat, and I'll force that back, hold it back, and then pinch it, and you will feel it warming up in through the straw here, but you won't stick to it because you've got a straw. So pinching it, and I pull that off, and that should hold the head in our sort of baitfish profile. And then decide whether you want it flatter or whether you want to squeeze it down, and when you're happy with it, just pinch all, and then just take your super glue and a little run of super glue just around the very front of it, and that will then set it in whatever shape you've chosen. So that's our fly tied. All we have to do now is put on the eyes and finish the head on it. So take that out, and we'll set it to one side and allow the super glue to dry on, because sometimes super glue can interfere with epoxies, etc., and change the colour of them. So here's one that we did earlier, and the super glue on the head has set at this stage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little post-it pad and a cocktail stick and a 2-part epoxy. I'm going to put out a little blob, size of a pea of each, and I'm going to mix that together with my cocktail stick. So I get the two and I really splay them across it, and then once you're happy that they're mixed, take a blob, allow it to touch the side where your eye is going to be, go to the other side, same thing. And now I'm going to use, these are sort of like a roach red sort of baitfish type 3D eye. And I'm just going to dip the back end into my blob of glue, and then I'm going to push it back, slide it back into it. We lost a little blob there. Same on the other side. Turn it up, dip the back edge into it just so it catches an edge of the eye, and push it back. So that now needs to set, and would be fully fishable as it is there. So I'm going to set that to one side, and then I'm going to look for one that we've got to that stage earlier as well. So we take this one. So these eyes have been glued on and they've set. So this is perfectly fishable, but I like to sort of fiddle about with it a little bit more. So again, on the Craftshop theme, I'm going to use some of these glitters that I got out of a Craftshop, and I'm going to mix that in with my epoxy. So a little blab of epoxy out on the page again. I'm then going to take bit of the pearl, and I'm going to tap that into it. A little bit of the silver as well. And then we take our cocktail stick and just mix this all together. Now, actually adding the glitter is a good way of indicating when your epoxy is really well mixed, because once you get an even sort of spread of epoxy through it, which you may or may not be able to see here, you know that your epoxy is also well mixed. So what I'll do then is I'll just allow a little run across the top of the head. I'll keep it in contact, let it form like a bleb around. I'll put that between the eyes on the bottom. Then I just turn the fly around and allow it to create a connection. And then what I like to do is to just pull it slightly back over the lip of the eye. You don't want it to cover the eye as such, but you do want just to create that little bit of a lip, so it makes it far less likely that it could peel off. As I said, this is just extras. You don't have to create that end of your head. You can just use clear epoxy if you want, and as long as your eyes are well glued on, the fly is totally fully fishable. But essentially that is our fly tied. So that is the tinsel fish. So if you like what you see, give us a like, subscribe, tell your friends, and until next time, tight lines. Thanks for watching.